Hello, curious minds. Imagine digging deep into Earth's history and discovering evidence of an ancient, advanced civilization, one that existed millions of years before humans. Sounds cool, right? Today we're diving into the Silurian Hypothesis, the idea that an intelligent species could have lived on Earth long before us, and left almost no trace. Could it be possible? And if so, how would we even know? Let's find out. So, where did this whole Silurian Hypothesis thing come from? It was proposed in 2018 by two scientists, astrophysicist Adam Frank and NASA climate scientist Gavin Schmidt. And no, it wasn't inspired by science fiction, but by a very real scientific question. They weren't asking if dinosaurs had Wi-Fi or if lizard people built cities millions of years ago. Instead, they were wondering, if an advanced civilization existed on Earth before humans, would we even be able to detect it today? And more importantly, what kind of evidence would survive over millions of years? Just think about it. The Earth is about 4.5 billion years old, and humans have only been around for a measly 200,000 years or so. That's like a blink of an eye in geological time. Plus, most human structures wouldn't last even 10,000 years without maintenance. Skyscrapers, roads, even entire cities would vanish beneath the forces of time, erosion, and plate tectonics. Now stretch that time scale to millions of years, and almost everything would be erased. So, if another civilization rose and fell millions of years ago, their entire existence could have been buried and forgotten, lost beneath the layers of time. This brings us to the name, the Silurian Hypothesis. It comes from the Silurian period, which was around 443 to 419 million years ago. Now to be clear, scientists aren't saying there was an advanced civilization during that time, it's just a reference to deep geological history. The key question is, could an intelligent species have existed at any point in Earth's vast past, long before humans? Schmidt and Frank realized that if there ever was an ancient industrial civilization, whether it existed 10 million or 300 million years ago, it might have left behind only subtle, indirect traces, chemical signatures, isotopic anomalies, or unexplained layers in the geological record. Interestingly, their research wasn't just about ancient civilizations, it was also a warning for our own. The scientists studied how human activity, like fossil fuel burning, could leave lasting marks in Earth's sediment. Could similar markers exist from a past civilization? And if we're not careful, could future scientists, millions of years from now, be asking the same questions about us? Alright, let's say there was another advanced civilization before us. What would they leave behind? The answer might surprise you, because almost everything we associate with civilization would disappear far sooner than you'd think. We talked about earlier how most human structures wouldn't last even 10,000 years without maintenance, and after a few million years, almost nothing would remain on the surface. But what about underground? Could buried ruins survive? While some structures, like underground tunnels or pyramids, might last longer, even those would eventually erode, be buried deeper, or be destroyed by earthquakes and geological processes. In fact, when we look at the fossil record, we rarely find remains of even the largest, most dominant species. Dinosaurs ruled the Earth for over 160 million years, yet only a tiny fraction of them fossilized. Now imagine a civilization that lasted only a few thousand or even a million years. It's possible that not a single trace would be left behind in the fossil record. So if ancient cities and fossils are unlikely, what would survive? The best evidence might not be ruins, but chemical and geological signatures. Schmidt and Frank suggested looking for unusual isotopic anomalies, synthetic chemicals, or carbon spikes, markers that don't occur naturally, but could be signs of industry or climate impact. For example, our own industrial age is leaving behind a distinct geological fingerprint: plastics, increased CO2 levels, and even radioactive isotopes from nuclear tests. Could similar traces exist from a past civilization, and if so, have we already overlooked them? Let's dig deeper. Imagine a civilization that produced synthetic materials like plastics. Modern plastics can last hundreds of thousands of years, even if they degrade over time. Could we find fossilized plastics deep within Earth's layers? And what about concrete or metals? While most metals corrode and vanish within a few thousand years, certain alloys, like gold or titanium, might endure far longer. If an ancient civilization used these, they might still be buried under millions of years of sediment. And there's more. Could a past civilization have built deep underground cities or bunkers that we've never found? Tectonic activity and erosion reshape the Earth constantly, making it hard to find anything buried deep within the crust. But what if there's something down there? Underground ruins, bunkers, or even remnants of high-tech machinery, preserved by the very processes that have hidden them from us? And of course, there's an even crazier idea. We'll talk about that later. Entire civilizations could rise and fall, leaving behind only the faintest whispers in the geological record. But if we know what to look for, maybe, just maybe, we'll find something hidden deep within the Earth's ancient past. So, let's take a step back and ask the big question. Could there have been an intelligent pre-human civilization on Earth? We're so used to thinking of human history as the beginning of civilization, but what if we're wrong? What about the millions of years before us? After all, we're just the latest chapter of the Earth's story. If a civilization existed millions of years ago, it might have been just as capable as us. Think about the technological advancements we've made in just a few thousand years. A civilization that lasted for millions of years could have achieved incredible things. Here's the thing: intelligence isn't really unique to us. Maybe there was a civilization that thrived in ways we can't even imagine, but the problem is, once again, evidence. Here's the big question: how could we possibly find evidence of something so ancient? If all that remains are subtle traces buried beneath layers of time, how do we even begin? To start, we need to think like detectives. Just like a crime scene, we'd have to search for the smallest clues, things that don't belong or seem out of place. They could be hidden in plain sight, buried deep underground, or even floating in space. One of the most important tools in this search is geology. Earth's layers tell the story of everything that's happened, from the rise of life to the forces that shaped our planet. Scientists could study these layers to look for unusual chemical signatures or artifacts that could indicate human or pre-human activity. Researchers might look for strange isotopic anomalies. If a civilization had industrialized, it could have left behind traces of synthetic materials, pollution, or carbon emissions. These would show up as abnormal chemical signatures in rocks or ice cores. Another method is deep core drilling. This technique can sample Earth's crust in places where the surface has remained unchanged for millions of years. By studying these cores, we can find preserved traces of the distant past. But let's not forget the power of fossils. They're incredibly rare, but they can be a treasure trove of information. While most fossils we find today are the remains of animals, plant life, and even early human ancestors, an intelligent civilization might have left behind something more, like tools, remains of construction materials, or even signs of early agriculture. Of course, there's remote sensing too. Satellites and drones equipped with advanced radar can scan the Earth's surface from above, detecting things we might miss with the naked eye. Places like the Nazca Lines in Peru or submerged cities in the Caribbean might hold secrets to ancient civilizations we've yet to understand. And as crazy as it sounds, the search for clues isn't just limited to the surface of Earth. Let's break it down. We've been dreaming of space travel for centuries, but here's a wild thought. What if we're not the first species to explore the stars? What if an ancient civilization, long before humans, reached out to the stars and explored other planets, moons, and even the farthest reaches of our solar system? If we believe that an advanced civilization existed millions of years ago on Earth, what's to say they didn't reach for the stars? After all, space travel is just another step in the development of a truly advanced society. Mars, for example, has been a long-standing candidate in the search for extraterrestrial life. What if ancient humans, or beings similar to us, once inhabited it? Could we find signs of their civilization buried under its sands? The surface shows signs of past water, ancient riverbeds, and strange geological formations. Then there's the moon. It's the closest celestial body to Earth, and while it's been heavily studied, there are still strange anomalies we can't quite explain. What if ancient explorers from Earth, or from somewhere else, used the moon as a base, a launch pad to explore further into the solar system? If an ancient civilization had the technological know-how to travel beyond Earth, they might have left behind some kind of trace, something that would give us a clue as to their presence on these other planets. Maybe there's evidence of long-lost spacecraft or space stations. Imagine space probes or satellites launched millennia ago, still orbiting distant worlds awaiting discovery. If we assume that ancient civilizations could have had spacefaring capabilities, then the technology we're developing today might be a pale shadow of what was once possible. And there you have it. The idea of an ancient advanced civilization may seem far-fetched, but the deeper we dig into Earth's past, the more we realize how much we don't know. What do you think? If a pre-human civilization did exist, would we even be able to find proof millions of years later? Or could we ourselves one day become nothing more than a forgotten chapter in Earth's history? Let us know in the comments. And if you love exploring the mysteries of the universe, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss a new adventure. Thanks for watching. Until next time, keep looking up.